Hi, welcome to episode 38 of the Krishnamurti Podcast with Sam Yogi. We are often caught between society's rules and our own desires, between possession and renunciation, between achievement and failure. Krishnamurti reminds us that freedom lies not in choosing sides, but in seeing the essence of the problem itself. When we live with intensity and awareness, facing each moment directly, we uncover the true meaning behind society's standards. From that clarity comes a different kind of action, not driven by ambition or achievement, but arising spontaneously from completeness. Such action is infinite, beyond possession and non possession, beyond choice and limitation. This is the invitation to live freely, fully, and without measure. So now let's go through the talk that Krishnamurti gave at Oman, and this is the third talk. J. Krishnamurti. One must live intensely all the time with full consciousness, facing everything as it comes, frankly, not sincerely. That is what I explained yesterday, so that every incident is regarded intrinsically for its own sake, not in comparison with what you are going to get out of it. So you discover individually the true significance of all the standards which society has imposed on each individual. So, in discovering the right significance, you either break away from society and the whole structure of society, or you may find yourself that you agree with society. That depends on the intensity, vitality, frankness with which you approach the problem. Take the question of possession and non possession of property. Through centuries, the law has allowed you to possess land, property, children, wife, jewels. It is allowed, and we have created that problem through centuries of craving, greed, desire for power, and we have become slaves of that legislation. Then another legislation will come that says, you shall not possess. Then you will become the slaves of that legislation also. Whereas, if you understand the true significance of the problem, then you are free of possession and non possession. I shall explain that. If it is not clear, ask me questions. So let's pause here and understand what Krishnamurti or K has said so far. The key points of the speech that we just listened to are as follows. Life must be lived with intensity and fullness, meeting each moment directly. Experience or experiences should be faced for what they are, not for what we can gain from them. Next point. By seeing clearly, one begins to understand the true meaning of society's standards. Next point. This understanding can lead either to alignment with society or break from it, depending on one's clarity and vitality. Next point. The question of possession illustrates this. Society's laws shift between ownership and non ownership, but both can enslave if accepted blindly. Next point. True freedom lies in going beyond both possession and non possession, seeing the essence of the problem itself. So to summarize this part which we just listened to, K invites us to live with intensity and awareness, to face each experience as it is, without seeking reward or escape. In doing so, we begin to uncover the hidden meanings behind society's standards and traditions. K points to the issue of possession as an example. Across centuries, society has alternated between granting ownership and denying it. Yet, both positions, possession and non possession, become forms of bondage when followed without understanding. What matters is not obedience to laws or ideals, but the deep discovery of truth within the problem itself. From this discovery arises freedom, a freedom beyond opposites, beyond the dictates of society, beyond mere conformity or rebellion. Now, let's conclude this talk, which is the third talk at Oman, which we have been covering with episode 36 and episode 37, and we are today on episode 38. So, the last part of the talk that Krishnamurti gave is as follows. So, in discovering right values, action is born out of completeness that is harmonious, spontaneous, and that action is of life itself, and therefore it is infinite. To me, action is not achievement. An action which is born out of a desire for achievement is not true action, it is limitation. Whereas action born out of the spontaneity of fullness is infinite. As we are free to choose and our action is born out of that choice and there is no discernment, our action is limited. It is not spontaneous. Whereas when action is born through the discernment of right values, which comes only when you question intensely, as in a crisis, then such action is infinite and spontaneous because it is not born out of choice. So let me read this last part again and then I will summarize. As we are free to choose and our action is born out of that choice and there is no discernment, our action is limited. It is not spontaneous. Whereas when action is born through the discernment of right values, which comes only when you question intensely, as in a crisis, then such action is infinite and spontaneous because it is not born out of choice. So, for this concluding part of case talk, what are the key points that you gathered? True action arises from wholeness and harmony, not from ambition or achievement. Next point. Action driven by desire for achievement is limited and bound by self interest. Next point. Spontaneous action flows from completeness and inner fullness and is therefore infinite. Next point. Choice, when based on preference without deep discernment, leads to limited action. Next point. Genuine discernment of right values emerges only through intense questioning, often in moments of crisis. Next and final point. From this discernment comes action that is free, spontaneous, and limitless. So, to summarize, K distinguishes between two kinds of action, one born from the pursuit of achievement, and the other from the fullness of being. The first is narrow and limiting. The one which is born from the pursuit of achievement is narrow and limiting because it arises from desire, ambition, or comparison. The second, which comes from the fullness of being, is infinite and free because it springs naturally from completeness and harmony. K emphasizes that real freedom in action is not a matter of choice. Why? Choice implies limitation, shaped by preference and conditioning. So, whatever you choose conditions you, limits you. Instead, true action is born from discernment, a clarity that comes when one questions deeply with intensity, as one would in a moment of crisis. From such discernment flows a spontaneity that is not bound by goals, desires, or external standards, but is itself the movement of life. So, to summarize the whole talk that we listened to today from J. Krishnamurti, we are often caught between society's rules and our own desires, between possession and renunciation, between achievement and failure. K reminds us that freedom lies not in choosing sides, but in seeing the essence of the problem itself. When we live with intensity and awareness, facing each moment directly, we uncover the true meaning behind society's standards. From that clarity comes a different kind of action. From that clarity comes a different kind of action, not driven by ambition or achievement, but arising spontaneously from completeness. And such action is infinite, beyond possession and non possession, beyond choice and limitation. So, K invites us to live freely, fully, and without measure. So this concludes the third talk at Omen and this podcast. In the next episode, which will be episode 39, we shall go through a few questions and the answers given by K. Thank you. You have a nice day.